Welcome back to the Press Club. Thank you for staying tuned, and as always, we appreciate you accommodating us and welcoming us into your homes, whatever part of your house that you have us on a Sunday evening. And it is truly an honor for us to be in with you, discussing the news. You listen to us and probably wanting to pelt something at the television at times because you disagree with what we say, but still we can agree to disagree and have some fruitful dialogue on different topics. Now, Reds, we were discussing some social aspects, and I indicated just before the break that it's a good thing that we have parliamentary representatives, the political directorate, our leaders being part of those social programs. And as I said that, a very sad note, last week I was very shocked to hear on Tuesday morning that John Bristol had passed on. He represented Castries Northeast, as it was at the time. Actually, that was the constituency that I was born in, 1982. He represented that constituency. A very affable gentleman. He was a guy who, every time he saw me, Mr. Reynolds, and he always had something positive to say to me. When I worked in news full-time, he always would call me to give me some advice and say, oh, well, you all did this and you all did that, probably, don't you think that it would have been better? And that was his approach. And I appreciated that, and we developed an understanding, and I would not see him and pass him by, or he would not see me and pass me by when we walked in the streets.
I would say that John Bristol, the late, was a gentleman, a man of very good manners, never aggressive to anyone. Obviously, he will have his moments where he might have been disappointed, but he was always, so polite.
Yes.
I had the good pleasure of meeting him through Dr. Vaughan Lewis when I joined the OECS in the 80s. I would say that I'm closer to his brother Hollis Bristol because, of course, his love for cricket, which he played. But whenever I met John Bristol, there was something always very positive, very effervescent about the personality, and he carried himself in that very quick way. You never see him walking slowly.
Yes.
I mean, he really was always on the move. Very, very positive, and he played a great role in so many offices. He was very close, obviously, to prime ministers and leaders of government, and I think he was fairly highly respected.
Yes.
Even by maybe, I'm sure, the opposition then at the time.
Yeah, and I mean, the opposition party released a statement after his passing.
Exactly.
And, just commending him on a life of good work. And, he battled, as I later understood, with prostate cancer, and that led to his demise eventually. But from the indications that I got, he fought, the cancer. And it was a shock to me when I heard that he had died. Actually, on Tuesday I got the BB message and I was like, John Bristol has died, but he will be missed. He will be dearly missed. Of course, he was associated with the United Workers' Party, and to have the SLP writing in glowing terms about him speaks to his character and the measure of the man.
And the mere fact that he was able to fight for so long, for their life, reflects the character of the man. He just didn't give up. He was still very positive, I understand, towards the end. And I think it reflects the strength of the man.
Yeah, so, I mean, our sympathy, our condolences to John's family, and just to let you know, we have these cliches uttering when one passes, but from our heart, we just want to say that we are truly sorry that he has passed, and in whatever way we can support, if we can be of any assistance, we'd love to be of assistance to you in this very trying period. John Bristol will be missed by many.
Well, somebody in your fraternity maybe should write about the life of John Bristol, for so youngers and Lucians may read about the contribution that he would have made.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So I'm not sure exactly when the funeral will be, but I'm sure that the church or wherever they're going to have that funeral will be packed, will be flooded with mourners, with well-wishers, with friends, and with family. You know, to say goodbye to John Lyle Bristol. He was 72. He was actually born on. He was born in 1940 and he died on April 29th. So um, he lived a full life, 72 years. And you know, when these things happen, they kind of humble you and they make you remember your humanity. You know, that we're not here forever. We're here for a time, and while we are here on earth, you know, it's good for us to be a positive influence on others. It's also for us to leave a lasting impression that is wholesome, you know, that people can say, oh, well, he was a good man. It would be nice that they say it while you're alive, but then when you're gone, you know, not that he was a scoundrel or anything like that, but he was a good man. As you said, a gentleman, John Bristol.
Yeah, I know the feeling very well when you were struck down. I mean, 1996, the first day of the year, I was struck down by a stroke in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
I know the feeling very well, to be ill. And you know, you're vulnerable, you know, and you ask many questions of yourself. And the one that you must not ask is, why me?
Mm-hmm.
You must simply try to fight back. I think that's maybe the best way.
Yeah. All right. Well, sad story, but I guess we had to come on with it because this is part of the news for the last week. On to another issue that will captivate the minds of all St. Lucians, and it has done so for the better part of 2 or 3 years. No, longer, because when the SLP was in power before that, the labor code was introduced, and something that administration after administration had said that would be passed and had given dates and revised dates. Finally, we're hearing from the Minister for Education and Labor, Dr. Robert Lewis, that the labor code will come into effect on August 1st this year. I think many people have been waiting for it. I am not sure what the business community, what their reaction to it will be, given their reaction to VAT, which was a bit surprising for me, that with something that is so, that can be, it is not, but can be so divisive as a labor code, where it pits employer against employee to some extent. That is not what it is, but that is the perception. But I think it's a good thing. I think it is a very good development that this labor code will finally be enacted on St. Lucia, and there would be laws that we can refer to when we have issues regarding employment on the island.
Well, it wasn't a document, or it's not a document that is simply put down on a desk and say, that's it. Mm-hmm. You had a long period of consultations by labor, by the business community, and you know, we hope that all questions, our queries were answered, were looked at, adjustments were made, compromises were made. But I think basically it should bring, hopefully, industrial peace, you know, or some amount of further industrial peace. I think it should be welcomed definitely by labor, and hopefully it will be welcomed by the business community.
Well, you know, some people think that the labor code is a document for workers. No, but it is not that. It is a document that will guide the relations between labor and employers. You know, there are rules there for both workers and the employers. So we cannot perceive this to be a document that is there to protect workers and, you know, shaft employers.
Not protect the business community.
Exactly. The business community has to be protected in order for it to survive and in order for it to create employment for those people who we think that this code protects. Yes, of course, the trade unions will welcome it. The business community will welcome it, but, you know, with some reservation, I would imagine, because once you have more laws and more rules to govern your operation, that kind of ties you in a little, and I think that would be their concern. But as it evolves, as it comes into effect and takes a life of its own, and people start to understand the reasoning and the more human reasons or explanations for those laws coming into effect, I think it will be easy to accept eventually.
I don't know why the last government didn't implement it. I don't know all their reasons. They could be very good reasons. But I was surprised that for so long it was there. I think it's a positive thing that so early in the piece, the minister has announced August 1. And I think it brings about a certain amount of a positive statement by the minister. And there's nothing which is being pushed down people's throats. We've had discussion, we've had all kinds of adjustments and presentations, and here's hoping that it is a firm document that it'll work for all.
Yeah, well, it was, I think, I don't know the thinking, but I am suggesting it might be strategic, because you don't want to get too close to the election for you to mess with VAT and the labor code. So if you can do it earlier on in your administration, then other things will arise that will cause people to forget. If they're paying VAT for a little while, then they would even forget that VAT is in place.
You are following the theory that the bad medicine must come early.
Yes, it must come early if you want to survive, especially in politics.
It doesn't have to be bad medicine; it could be good medicine.
Yes, yes. Medicine. People hate medicine, but medicine is good for the soul. So I mean, you only administer medicine to someone who's ailing. And I've always said that VAT, and we've jumped from labor code to VAT, but VAT is a way to protect the resources, the financial resources of the country, because too many people cheat on their taxes, say they make so much and they make much more. But by implementing VAT, you have a situation where people pay according to their consumption. So if you claim to be making $20,000 and every year consistently you spend $40,000, and you're only paying tax on the $20,000, then the government is losing tax on the other 20. So with VAT, when you say you're going to collect, you'll collect from what you pay or you spend on. Then it's easier to collect, and there's more money coming into the coffers of the government, which benefits, even programs like yours, the one that you discussed in the earlier break. So,
well, I've seen VAT implemented in a couple of Caribbean countries, having lived in Guyana. I saw VAT come into Guyana, Barbados, and there will be initial teething problems. I have no doubt. The first thing I think we have to be conscious of that the consumption tax in every sense will go. So the consumption tax, which used to be the major hurdle, so to speak, will not be there anymore. And if the public education program is good enough, if they're out there and they've been around for a very long time, so I assume that they've got the hang of the information they need to put out there. But if the baskets, the basket of goods is wide enough to cover the working class, I think that to me is very important. It's whether VAT is relevant to the hotels, is whether VAT is relevant to insurance.
Yeah.
There are a lot of questions out there that
and I don't want us to lose that point. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue discussing VAT as well as other stories happening last week, inclusive of media police relations. Stay with us. Press Club will continue after this break.